Well, looky here. You are listening to someone who is bold, authentic, diverse, unpredictable. Baby, I am unapologetically Ramon, and you have entered my zone, the QB zone, baby. Hello, somebody.
and 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 there's no objection.
So, some of the most important professions that I think exist is not just in the medical field, but I really feel that it's those who work with the youth. I think that social worker, educators, and anyone who deals with any aspect of the youth have very important jobs. And so today I want to talk to some of my favorite people who work in some aspect with the youth. First up, I have someone who God, I've known since the ninth grade. Well, I've known of him since the seventh grade. I'm gonna tell y'all this short story. I've known him since the seventh grade. I used to run track, but I wasn't no good. He was. And his school used to always, I went to Stone Junior High, he went to Southwest, and he used to always whoop us in what the 100, 200, 4x1. And that is someone that is Nick McGriff. He is someone that I have been friends with since high school. He is a college educated Black man. He is a proud member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And so I'm very glad to have this conversation with him today. Nick, what's going on? How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing, man? Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So right now you're working as a direct care specialist, correct?
Correct.
What exactly is that title entail?
Well, I work with 150 kids. Well, we vet 150 kids of mental health, abuse, neglect. Basically, I work at a hospital for kids, mistreated. Right now, I have 18 girls, 19 girls on my unit. Real right now is real big with the Delta, the sex trafficking girls.
Mm,
So I deal with that right now. Really, we have about 10, 11 girls who are been heavily.
interesting.
So I do a lot of like when they come in, the rules of the program, show them around, give them the basic stuff that they need, and then I train all the new staff that come in. So we hire new staff. I train them on the program, what we have, the programs we have, our unit rules, just the guidelines that we use. We'll teach these girls that they have to learn while they're here at the program.
And you've been with your employer for some years, right? How long you been there?
I've been there 7 years, but I've
Okay.
been in this field over about 15 years.
Yeah, because you started in social before I did.
Right.
Um, what drew you to this line of work? Like when we was in high school, when you went off to college. Sorry, and he's a proud HBCU grad, by the way. Did you want to be in this field, or did life kind of take you in a different direction?
I went into the education field, but life kind of turned me over to this field. The teaching thing was fun, but I really enjoyed the bad kids. Like I don't know why.
Me too.
They're funny.
Yeah,
They have an attitude,
absolutely.
and like they want to keep it real all the time. And if they don't want to do it, they're gonna say, "I don't want to do this stuff, man.
Hmm.
This ain't for me." So after that year of me doing the teaching thing, I went to the group home, foster care work, and I love that. Teaching them life skills and how to cook and clean and how to dress and they had these dreams to make money and rap or so okay, that's cool, you can rap, but at least learn how to read a contract or at least do your math and so on and so forth. So
Absolutely.
I think that kind of kept me over to being keep going to this line of work.
All right. Would you say that anything? Because I know for me, this benefited me being a social worker. Did you think that anything in your personal life prepared you to work in this type of field?
I think this growing up, early 80s, 90s, dealing with racism, in football, sports, my mom helping out anybody, feeding them, housing them, treating everybody the same.
Right.
Never look down on people because they look different or they don't have enough. And somebody always helping me out. When I was down, I was hungry. People fed me, took me to school, took me home, and so on and so forth. So why not give back to what I enjoy doing?
Yeah. I want to touch on the human trafficking aspect because I know that that has been something that has, with the past few years, it's like it seems to become more widespread. It's been going on for years, but I think just with a lot of things hitting the media, it seems as if people are more aware of it. And I know just being down here in South Florida, it's something that I've seen so much because, you know, these immigrants come over here and a lot of times they come through Miami. And so a lot of times I would get these youth on my caseload that they were brought over here under the assumption that I'm going to live with this person. They're going to give me a better life. And then they end up taking advantage of them. And it could be males or females that are victims of human trafficking. I think a lot of times we just assume it's females. What are some of the commonalities that you've seen in your youth in regards to human trafficking? Is it like similar races, similar backgrounds, or is that very?
When it comes to that type of field, there's no shape or color on that. And it's crazy because you have these young girls, 13, 14, 15, and you have these grown men, 35, 40, 45, 50, who are just, it's sickening.
Mm-hmm.
But to and sometimes it's their parents put them in that lifestyle.
Yes.
I've had several girls, my mom, my auntie, and this all I know. Haven't been to school in 5 years, but this all you know. It's get money, provide for home or the lifestyle with the clothes and the bag and the shoes and the hair done. And it's sad. You see the movies like the whole, pimps and streetwalkers, but they're adults.
Right.
Still not cool, but when it's kids, it's 15, 12, and that's a lifestyle for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard for a lot of them to get out of it because that's the only life they know.
Right. So when we get them, they want to, some of them hit on the male staff, and it's like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what they know.
Right.
And so they're smart to what they want to get. They'll be nice to you. They'll clean up, whatever they do to get what they want.
Right.
And it's crazy, man. And I don't seen it. And now I'm like, it's unreal. Mom and dad are making you do this.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom and your dad, that's your
They're supposed to protect you.
Correct.
Yeah, and they putting you in harm's way.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then they put you on drugs and now your mind gone. So now after that couple of years, they're just used to it now.
Yeah. And have you seen cases where the mom, the dad, the relative got them into this, but they don't see any wrong?
Correct. They feel like, well, my mom told me to do it, so I'm gonna do it.
It's right, yeah.
So I get it because mom told you to do it, but then at that age, you don't know. You're 13, 12. Mom said do it or live with mom, so you're gonna do it.
Right.
Knowing that it hurts, but then after they zone out or they hit that, they black out, as they say, or they be on drugs and they just lay there. And then after a few times doing it, they kind of fell in love with it because that's the lifestyle they're used to.
Right. And when it comes to the human trafficking victims, what are some signs that you think what signs do you think is the dead giveaway that they're a victim of that, but sometimes people outside of our line of work may not recognize it?
Attention, man. I think really, and this feels all about attention for these kids. When they don't get attention, they start reaching out to YouTube or Facebook in their videos, and they see all these fine girls getting this money, and they're selling their bodies because that's what the video says do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come from nothing, so
Right.
they want to get money. They can't work because they're 13, 14. So let me do this, or let me try this because I can make this by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
oh, Mr. Nick, I can make $200, in a couple hours.
Right. How a little child, 13, 14, knows something like that?
Right.
Yeah.
Their mom put them in that element. You know what I'm saying? They open their eyes to it.
How do you, as a male, with your clientele, help them kind of turn their mentality? What are something that you teach them? How?
As a male, I teach them, first of all, personal space. I need my space, you need your space. You know what I'm saying? You're here for a reason. So don't cross these boundaries. I can cross yours, don't cross mine. Some of them come in there want to do better, but have no choice but to listen to their parents or their adults. So sometimes it'd be the surrounding. Once you leave that surrounding, and over time you're gonna change.
Right.
But it's just, for me, it's harder for the urban girls, like the DC girls, Chicago, down south, because they come from that mentality where, get money or be a loser.
That's all they know.
Yeah, the nice clothes, get picked on. So they'll do that for the shirt or t-shirt and shoes and be fine with it, because they really look good, then really be smart.
Right.
Not get picked on because that's not where it's at in those communities. But what I do, I just try to talk to them, and keep it real with them, because they want the realness, And
they can see through anybody who's BSing them.
Correct. They ain't with all that side talk. Talk to them what they can relate to, And that's it, man. And be yourself. They gonna see through you regardless if you really fake.
And I think just with you being not just all of that, but being consistent. They're probably so used to people inconsistently and it's coming and going and just nothing stable.
Right. Yeah. Don't promise me anything. I can try, but I'm not gonna promise you that, because people always let them down. Oh, you promise this, you promise that. I don't make promises. I can try. I'll do my best. If I forget, remind me. But I'm not gonna promise you.
Right.
And they respect that.
Because you can have a lot of progress with a youth when you're working in this field. You can have a lot of progress, but the one time or the first time they break a promise, it's like it just erases all that progress they have for most of them.
Yes, for most of them. Yeah, I never promise anything. I'll try.
Right.
Matter of fact, you remind me so I won't forget.
Right. But I don't want to be the ones that add to your trauma by breaking the promise. Right. Has your years in this field and just working with this clientele affected in any way the kind of parent you are? Because you're a girl dad. So has it affected, enhanced in any way how you are as a parent? Because your daughter's what? How old is she now? Almost a teenager? 13. She is 13. Yeah, so see, she's a teenager already.
Yeah, it may be a better parent, like truly, like hands down. Being in this field, it makes you a better parent. It makes you appreciate how you were raised. Because I didn't have it bad as I thought I did, like these kids.
Right.
I had food, I had clothes. Wasn't the best clothes, but I had clothes. I had clean underwear. The basic stuff that you think
absolutely.
A roof over my head. I had a bike. I played sports. I had a mom that loved me. I had a dad that loved me. But as far as being a parent wise, it makes you want to like hug your daughter more or some more, love them more. For me, like I text a lot. I might send her a package in the mail, but attention, detail, and support. Even she have a little, she get 4 A's and a D. Baby, good job getting them 4 A's. Awesome job.
Absolutely.
But hey, let's work on this D. Instead of saying you got a D, that's not right. You smarter than that. No, I learned to praise them for what they got. Those D's, and then that one D, that one C. Okay, cool. Next time, let's focus on this D. But great job on this A.
Absolutely.
Because they don't get praise enough. Nowadays, they want that praise. They want that instant gratification.
Right.
So with me, the praising is bigger for me. The love is bigger for me. The hugging, the holding hands, like taking pictures. I mean, even with her just holding my phone and going on Snapchat, she loved that, and she loved our time together.
Right.
I made sure when I go see her, I give it that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was an hour, 2 hours. We just kick it, phones down, and we go whatever, have fun. But it's all about attention, man. Attention and time. It's big for me now.
And I think that's great because we all know when females don't get that type of attention from home from their daddy, then whatever knucklehead in the street, the first time he said they look good, the first time he get them some kind of compliment, it opens the door for him being able to manipulate and control her. But when you have a child who gets that constantly from her dad, another nigga in the street saying ain't gonna mean nothing because she used to hearing that every day. You ain't said nothing she don't already know.
And I had to learn that. I didn't say baby good job or girl look, I love you, but girl, okay, I see you look good today. You matching. I see what you got. And she like it.
Right.
As a parent, I didn't, I see you, girl, you matching, but now girl look good now. Watch out now. Watch out.
Absolutely.
So now, I'm giving her that praise and that confidence, because a lot of girls don't have that confidence.
Yeah. What has been one of your most rewarding experiences so far in this field? And not even just in, where you're at right now. It could have been back in the day when you first started. Just what was your most rewarding experience you could think of?
I enjoy like the kids that grow up and I see them again. Oh, Mr. Nick, man, how you doing? Like they're bragging on like what they're doing. I'm going to school, man. I got a job, man. You was right, man. Keep pushing, man. Don't give up. And
absolutely,
your friends, you can hang out with, man, because these over here was doing this, and I kind of just said, man, be yourself, man. And it's a positive to see kids grow up and praise you for what you did to them. Bought them a meal or took them home or gave them a little confidence, man. Help them out with school. But I really enjoy when they grow up and they text you, or I see them out in public and they, doing good for themselves.
Absolutely. Like you, I always love the bad kids. If they cuss, disrespectful, I want them on my caseload. Yeah. I want one or two that's good because you want that balance. Because the other kids, that can get a little stressful. But I really do always love having the bad kids, because I've always felt like there's something about me, whether it's the personality or whatever it was, that it just seems like I could be effective. Whether it was I like the similar music, whether I could talk their language, I never came for a certain side of the tracks, but because I had family and friends who did, I could understand. I never felt the need to judge them. A lot of, and I think also cultural diversity is important. A lot of times social workers don't look like me and you. So when the youth look like me and you, they have a wall up because they're like, you already don't look like me, you can't relate to me. And I think because both of us, and they rarely see men in our field. So I think because we're two colored men, look very, look young, we're not old, we still can relate to them on that level. I think that's one thing that has allowed us to be effective when it comes to dealing with youth who have challenges. I think for me, seeing them come in with those challenges, whether it's the anger issues, whether they were victims of human trafficking, whether they were prostitutes, whether they had drug addictions, and some of them all the above, when you see that transition and you see them, for me, going out to college, when they turn their life around and they go to college, even if it's not a 4-year university like me and you, I don't care if it's a trade.
Yes.
You didn't care. You didn't give a doggone about education when I first met you. Now you don't graduate and got a trade, and see them, like you said, when months and years go by and they find you on social media, or you happen to see them, in the restaurant or in the store, and you see they're doing so good. I thoroughly love that, and for me, I don't go into the cases try to pat myself on my own back. I just like to do the best I can and do what I got to do. And so a lot of times we don't realize the type of effect we're having on these youth until they tell us. Many times I never felt like I was affecting your life to that level. I thought I was just doing a good job at doing my job. So yeah, I definitely can relate to that. And when they tell you, and it makes it worth it. It makes it worth it. Because we know sometimes you get those cases and you got some kids you want to ram about their neck.
Yeah.
And you a big dude. I'm not. So, I don't have a few that try me. You big dude. So they might not try you.
No. Them girls, man. Real talk, the girls from like, I used to hate them, but now I love them.
Yeah.
Keep it so real. Those DC girls.
Oh God.
Listen, they talk loud, or they talk aggressive.
Yeah.
And I had to learn. That's how they talk. Why you yelling so much? That's how I talk. Okay. And they don't believe in yes sir, no sir. That's when they don't believe in it.
Yeah.
And but now I love them. But they talk so aggressive, like you're saying, and they can relate to us.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not used to seeing, they see them, right? And they can relate. Some of them can, but a lot of them can't relate to the anger and when they talk so aggressive. Because that's where they're from. That's DC. That's Chicago. That's the city they live in, the inner city.
Absolutely.
So all soft and say what you mean and say and mean what you say. And they gonna cuss, they gonna yell.
Oh, they gonna do that.
Yeah. And DC girls, down south girls from Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Broward, those two, man, you gotta have your patience.
Oh yeah.
And be willing to throw that, because they gonna try you.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't scared of you. I ain't scared of you. I know that. But just calm down, But those ones make your job hard, but then you appreciate it because they gonna push you to the limits.
They sure live. They definitely want to see how far they can push you.
Yes. Some of them want to see how to make you mad.
Mm-hmm. And then some of them, I think some of them will push you because in the past, when they've done that, then they get their way. Or the whoever that staff person was, or they switched them. They got somebody else. But they see, wait a minute, they call Mr. Ramon, Mr. Nick, XYZ, or they come at us, XYZ, we still there. We ain't left. We ain't asking to switch out their cast load, they case, off our caseload, we're still there. And then they realize we're still consistent.
Yes.
Still gonna be the same. Even every time they come at us XYZ, we don't throw them to the side. I've had some that have turned their life around and apologized because they're like, "You never gave up on me. You never left." Have you? I'm sure you've seen that too, right?
Yeah, letters. Tons of letters. And when they get mad, I ain't going nowhere. Leave me alone. Ain't God good? Yes. And, I'm funny too. I be laughing. What's so funny? What, man? I mean, I'm just happy.
Yeah. And they be surprised. They just cussed us out. They just cussed us out today. We walk up in, we come across them tomorrow. They shot. Wait, we back. Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, hello. We stuck with each other.
Yeah. I'm here all day long.
I'm trying to tell you. What would you say is a rose and a thorn for you in this field?
The rose, like, I like to see the client's progress. Coming in, with nothing and the bad attitude and being disrespectful.
Right.
And then over time they, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, or not saying what, ma'am, the verbiage that they use, it changes. But me, it's the attitude. And when they leave the program, they have better confidence. The hygiene is better.
Yeah, because sometimes that's horrible.
Yeah, the mind is better. Because and they get therapy, from the staff, the teachers, the doctors, from the therapists, and they're a better person in general. And you can see it in them, And when they leave, they go to college and they reach out, or they go to trade school, or I have a few nurses. I have a few in school now. I have a few who are doing like nail tech.
Nice.
Or doing
right.
So that's good. Some doing makeup. That's good. But the thorn is like some of them get out with the same mind frame they came into. Go back. Or is I seen some that have the great mind frame and the parents.
Oh God. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Your child's here for a reason. You still yipping and yapping, and she changed.
Do you think it's jealousy on the parents that they see their child having this growth and this potential, and they wrong as the parent doing nothing in their life? Do you think that's part of it?
Yes, because sometimes the parent can be upset at themselves. You know, they're depressed, they're mad, and now their children came in depressed and mad. Now they've changed, and now the kids trying to get mom therapy. I'm like,
right.
And the mom cussing and carrying on. You know, so when they go back to the mom, and then less than 4 months, they're back in the program because the mom kicked them out.
Mm-hmm.
The mom's yipping and yelling, the mom's yelling, and so on and so forth. So the thorn is not, for me, is the parent didn't get help or the kid didn't get enough help and they got out too early.
Mm-hmm.
So on that aspect, it's just like you can't save them all.
Right.
So the ones I do save, great. The ones I don't, hope I can teach them a little something along the way, because some of them will live a lifetime regardless.
Mm-hmm.
They come in the program, fake it to make it. When they get out, they're back to doing what they've been doing. So I mean, the roses, I see that the progress. I enjoy the progress, and when they get out, they prosper. The thorns, like, man, why?
Yeah. I think it's great though that we recognize you can't save everybody. I think I had to learn that early on. You definitely cannot save everybody. Some of them just not gonna say too lost. Right. Although there may be a few that are too lost, but I think it is in the right time. They're not at that point yet where they're ready to change.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, sometimes it take jail. Sometimes it take
a hard wake up call. Yeah.
It take an overdose. It's sad at that age. You're 16 and you're overdosing 16, 17. It may take that. You know what I'm saying? Or it might take you not having nothing, like, I saw a client, oh my goodness, a few years back when I was out of town, and he was homeless. I'm like, man, you 19 years old.
Right.
But he was, thought like it was a game, playing around, and you didn't want to follow people's instructions. Now you 19 on the streets.
Do you think that there are some laws that could be changed to help what we do in social work be more effective? Do you think there's some laws that get in the way?
Yes. Because once they leave the out of your hands or out of my hands, like, we're not supposed to contact them or check up on them. So, but they still reach out. But like, it's a hit and miss. Because once you leave a program, now you're home with your parents. Now you have a whole other caseworker, a whole other, mentor.
And you're the one they're bonded with. You're the one who helped them have this progress. But once they leave, they can't have no contact with you. That's kind of re-traumatizing them in a way.
Right. So now I gotta find a whole new person. I gotta find a whole new therapist. Just off from the day one. I did that for 8-9 months with this person. Now I do it again.
Right.
And the support, like, the when they leave here, the support change. What else? I mean, funds, lack of funds.
Oh yeah.
Lack of, like, reach out program. And just having like a mentor, that's the thing that get in my way. I can't call them. They can't call me. And if I see them, I talk to them, but I don't call.
Right.
Call my Facebook, but I can't talk to them because of the job.
Right.
There's and I think some of them belong in a different place. Send them home, send them somewhere else.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't need to send them back to the environment that got them there in the first place.
Right, and they do that a lot. When you go home, she's from home doing time. Why send it to a job corps, send it to another program, send them
totally
out
agree.
of
Yeah.
Because some of them we do better in a different environment most times.
Yeah.
New place, new opportunity, new face.
Absolutely. I know down here I used to work with extended foster care youth. And so those were the youth that, were 18 plus. And so they either have two choices. They can go to college or they can, be in the workforce. And of course, they get a variety of benefits.
Yeah.
And when I would have the ones that were interested in college on the level of a 4-year university, I would absolutely want them to get the heck out of South Florida.
Right.
Because a lot of times when they are in care and they're in the foster home or group home, they've been removed out of their environment. And so they're able to stay on track because they don't have those distractions. But once they turn 18, they can do whatever they want to do. I don't need you here going to college because you can be going out having fun and you could be right back in your same environment. You come across the same fools, and because they've seen you elevate, a lot of times people want to be accepted by their friends. They want to feel like they belong. It's hard for them to disassociate that. And so if my homeboy, who I used to hang out with, although get in trouble with, now don't think I'm cool or don't want to mess with me. So now I feel like I got to dumb myself down to this crowd that is still hard for me to separate myself from. So I absolutely will always try to get those types of youth the heck out of Dodge. Like, go to college and go to FAM, go to FHU, go wherever, Orlando. Just get away from this environment.
Yes. So man, go to Job Corps. Go over here, this program. But I don't listen. You've been here for 8 months, doing good, right? I'm gonna be there regardless.
Ain't going over right.
You're still 17, 18. Go over here. They're gonna pay you to go over here, give you a phone, and give you some mentorship, and give you a job. Why not? Try something new. Mom gonna be there. Ain't gonna be there. But just try. If you don't like it, then you go home. But don't go home and then try, because when you go home, you be stuck home.
Right. What advice would you have for someone who's interested and who think they want to go into this field, the social work field? But
don't for one, you gotta have patience. All right. Gotta have patience. And I learned to not take it home with you, because you take it home with you.
That's big.
Kids. And it's crazy. And then I learned also not just our butler job, like the spirits, those kids who are always angry and always, it'll jump on you, man. So if you believe in the higher power, call on them before you go in.
Hello, somebody.
When you leave, take them on the way out.
Like I swear, I would literally in my car going to the office, I gotta listen to gospel music. I want to listen to a sermon because I don't think I realized that the first 3 years that that can jump in you. Because when I first started, I was there in Brevard County like you, and so we know Brevard County is different than some other cities. So when I moved to South Florida, and it was like it was a whole different beast, I really had to do that.
Yes. I learned that in Jacksonville. I was working at the juvenile jail. And those kids, man, they come in with basically mental health issues. They don't have nothing. They gotta fight. They gotta scrounge. They gotta sell this, sell that. And they be so angry, so depressed that it'll jump on you, man. Out of nowhere.
Right.
They cutting up early in the morning, they cussing the can on at 7:15. I'm like, man, what's going on with you guys?
Right.
I can go home angry and depressed and snapping on my daughter or being rude to people. I'm like, man, say, look at, man, I see that little attitude now. They can look at you and start praying for you coming here.
Absolutely.
And the next day, he caught me at the front door. He said, you ready? Yes, sir. We prayed, we walked in, clean our boots off, walked in,
get back into it.
And kept pushing, man. And ever since then, it's true that it'll jump on you so quick and you don't even know it.
Yeah. I've had coworkers that have struggled to not take it home. And listen, stress can kill you. Stress can cause you to have health issues, or flare up health conditions you already got. And I have had coworkers that every day in the office, they look like they stress the heck out like a chicken with their head cut off because they take it home. Whereas me, I come to the office with energy, or at least I'm not, I've managed differently. So I'm ready to go. I come to the office, I'm ready to go. Or my personality is just different, the normal Ramon personality. That's because I've allowed myself to woosah when I get home, leave it at the door, and a lot of people can't do that. And those are the ones I think get burnt the hell out, or they're just stressed the heck out. And then, like you said, take it home and get out on their spouse or their kids. And it's crazy.
And I start believing that me time. So when I leave work, either I'm riding home with no music,
Oh,
Or I
yeah.
might pull to the beach. Or I might just pull to the parking lot and sit there with my windows down for 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I
Absolutely.
never go straight home. I never do. Never.
Mhm.
If I go straight home, I'm riding slow with no music on. I might ride through the neighborhood.
Take your
And
time.
then,
Yeah.
yes, and this, what's the word I'm looking for? When you kind of de-escalate yourself,
Right.
calm down. Because, man, you come in the house and, there you go again. Loud music, everybody yelling, screaming, somebody cussing and carrying on, somebody arguing. You like, man, what the heck going on? What y'all
Right.
doing? It's peace.
Right.
Now I want peace. So now I enjoy music on this ride, and like you're saying, gospel music, or I'm big on now like little sermons or like positive speeches. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And Denzel and Kevin Hart and Steve Harvey have these little powwows on YouTube, and I listen to that.
Absolutely. Yep.
The going or coming. But
Mm-hmm.
now, man, my time. We need our time.
Because you have to reset. I don't think we as humans, and a lot of times us men, because we're so focused on making it happen and we got goals to accomplish, a lot of times we don't reset like we should.
Yeah, reset. Yes. And they say, "Oh, I don't have time." We all have time. What's 5 minutes?
Yeah.
For you when you get in your car, to work, you sit in your car and it's like, whew, okay. And now I talk to you, so well, okay, that was a bullshit tried me today, but it's okay. And the last like, boy, she got me good today, but tomorrow it's on and popping. And I just ride home.
Absolutely.
A good song. Like, okay, but tomorrow's on and pop.
Right. I'm bouncing back. I'm coming.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Man, Nick, I appreciate it. I appreciate the insight. I appreciate you taking time out for this conversation. I got something from it. I'm sure people listening to it will, and I think it's just really good to have these conversations. So I really, really appreciate it, sir.
Yes. No, thank you. And y'all listening, man, get y'all therapists too.
Oh yeah. I see one. Matter of fact, I got an appointment one today. I see one faithfully.
If they got one, why can't you get your one? And they ain't expensive.
Exactly.
And truly, man, it's free. You work at your job, offer that.
It's true. That is true.
So get your therapist, man. I love mine. Don't be ashamed of it, man, because something we need to have, man.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally support therapy and prayer. Absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah. So everybody who listens to that, take heed. It's nothing wrong to get help. It's nothing wrong even if you just have one session. It's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with having just one. Get it out.
And it's between you and that person. I ain't got to tell you that. I don't mind. I got a therapist. Love all you want. I got me one though. I got me a good one.
Me too.
I tell how I feel and I walk out. Bye.
Yeah, I'm good. And I know that whatever we've shared, it ain't gonna leave these doors.
Okay, ain't no post that or
ain't gonna be throwing back. Right, ain't gonna be no post on Facebook. Ain't gonna be throwing back in my face. Ain't gonna be held over my head. Yeah. I can cuss, cry, whatever I need to do.
Okay. And I said, all right, bye. Quick, bye.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. Great advice. I appreciate it, Nick. You have a good day, sir.
Sure.
All right. Take care, man. So the next person that I want to talk to today regarding this subject matter that I love so much about those who are enriching and benefiting our youth. And we have Mr. Andre Everette. He is a teacher in Miami-Dade County. He is a 4th grade teacher, to be exact, specifically math and science. And the first thing that I want to learn about you and would like you to share is what brought Andre Everette to education? Of all the occupations, what was it that drew you to education?
To be truthful, my parents. I had just completed undergrad, and it was at that point where they were basically telling me, like, you need to work. I was holding out on that dream job, but I knew that education would be a sure thing. I got into the field and truthfully just kind of fell in love with the students.
Math and science. I've always found it interesting to people who teach and love certain subjects, because that was very much not my subjects in school. I was more of a history, language arts kind of person. What was it about math and science? Were you always into math and science as a child, or how did that kind of come into fruition?
I think I was pretty balanced. I enjoyed reading just as much as math and science. Remember, since I am at the elementary level, it is a little more basic. It's not as rigorous as maybe what you're thinking.
Right.
But the skills that I'm teaching them now, in particular math, are so important. You know, in the 4th grade, they're learning actually how to count money, to understand the value of different coins, multiplication, long division. They're learning about like feet and inches. So definitely things that they'll need beyond the classroom.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you specifically work for a Title I school, correct?
Correct.
So for those who don't know what Title I school is, can you explain that a little bit for those who don't know?
A Title I school means that the majority of our students qualify for free or reduced lunch. I believe it's close to 100%. Don't quote me. It is somewhere in the 90s though, for sure.
Nice, nice, nice. And so what would you say, when you think of Title I, and then you think of some of the other schools, I'm sure there's a difference in resources. I'm sure there's a difference in support, probably from a parental level as well as a school board. Can you talk about some of those challenges you faced working for a Title I school?
Okay. A lot of our resources are actually tied to, you know, the taxes and everything with the neighborhood. So to begin with, we're already like starting out at a disadvantage. I do work at a Title I school. We're right across the street from project housing, and not to stereotype or generalize the entire population, but there are certain problems that we face and that our students face that perhaps I wouldn't have to deal with in, you know, other neighborhoods and other communities. Sometimes there's just a complete lack of education with the parents, sometimes just a lack of awareness and involvement. And for various reasons, you know, sometimes our students come from single parent households, and quite honestly, the parents have to work, or they just don't know themselves to be able to adequately help, you know, their kids.
All right. I can imagine that with the hurdles that COVID has brought, that there has definitely been some modifications you've had to make as a teacher in regards to how you teach them face-to-face pre-COVID versus a lot of the restrictions and things that were in place. Can you talk about some of the changes and how COVID affected you as an educator?
This has definitely been a stretch growth year for me. There's so much with technology that I've been forced to learn.
Right.
I definitely feel it has been a haze in a sense.
Right.
Really having to use a lot of the different programs, but it's definitely built up my skill set. I'm in a situation where I have students sitting in person with me, as well as working remote from home. So, you know, imagine trying to speak into the computer all day on Zoom, but also still dealing with the realities and the challenges within the classroom. So it's.
And so how, when you're educating, so how does that work? Are you doing stuff video? Or are they able, is there like cameras in the classroom where they're able to see you while you're there teaching an in-person student? How does that work?
So I'm on Zoom, just like we are now.
Right.
And the students in the classroom aren't connected to the Zoom because that would just completely slow down the internet connection. But we do have a Promethean screen in the class where I'm able to project whatever is displayed on my computer screen. So I'm just doing both simultaneously. But it's a lot of digital stuff. And so my lessons are basically designed for the virtual students in mind first, and then I adapt them for the kids in the classroom, where I'm able to still do some of the more traditional things like a textbook, paper, more hands-on activities and such.
Nice. You've been in education for how long? How many years?
This is my 8th year working with the school system. This is my 4th year in the classroom as a teacher.
Where do you see yourself in, let's say, 5 years as an educator? Do you have any other goals that you would like to accomplish? I mean, do you want to be a principal one day? Do you want to be a superintendent? What do you see for yourself?
Administration is not for me.
Okay.
I think it's important to know what is for you and what isn't. I definitely prefer working with the kids directly in the classroom, as opposed to the more administrative tasks and having to work with other teachers and working with the adults in that capacity. So no, that's not for me. If I do stay in education, it will be in the classroom as a teacher.
And being in the classroom, what does that, do you find it more rewarding working for the underprivileged versus any of the other categories of people? Because I know being a social worker, for me, I really thrived off of feeling as if I really made a difference. So it's like the more challenges you faced, the more I found it rewarding to help you try to break some of those cycles and go beyond some of those hurdles. Do you find it more rewarding with your population?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think I would be able to do my job in any other environment. I'm just being honest. Teaching is definitely not a job where, you're not in a profession to get rich. There's no instant gratification. Sometimes you don't always feel as appreciated, but there are so many small wins throughout the day and throughout the school year. I understand that some of my students come to me one grade level or more behind. So they may not even catch up necessarily or do so well on a standardized test, for example. But I can see the difference in their work ethic or just their motivation to come to school, the way they carry themselves. I do understand that for a lot of my students, I am one of the few positive examples, of a Black man, of a professional Black man. My first year, I came to work one day with my shirt tucked in, and one of the kindergarten students, it was very innocent. He told me I had on a girl shirt, and I asked, well, why do you think I have on a girl shirt? And he told me because I had my shirt tucked in. So that told me a lot. Not to judge him or his home life, but he probably doesn't attend church, because think about it. When you go to church, people dress up, their shirts are tucked in. If anyone in his household, works in a place of business, they probably tuck their shirts in. Right. So just those minor things are small wins for me.
And for those who don't know, Andre Everett is a fraternity brother of mine I've known closely for a few years now. Someone that has been very supportive. You guys have heard me talk about in a previous episode about a group of 10. And he is one of those 10. One thing I love that I would like for you to share is Black History Month. You did something really amazing during Black History Month when you were educating the youth about, if I'm not mistaken, HBCUs, correct? Can you share that? Because I personally thought when you shared it with me, it was amazing. I've always, given you kudos to that. Share what exactly you did during Black History Month.
Wow. I didn't think it was so, novel or so amazing, but I just think it's important to, expose the kids to more than what they're accustomed to. So each Tuesday we had HBCU, Tuesdays, where we learned about different colleges and university, historically, Black colleges and universities. We looked at Florida Memorial, we looked at Bethune-Cookman, FAMU, and Howard. So I just put together like a short PowerPoint, picked out some things to highlight about each school, just to kind of get the kids to start thinking beyond, where they are now.
If you could pick 3 things that could make your job easier, whether it's things on a personal level, whether it's legislature, what do you think could really benefit you as an educator or any educator working for a Title I school?
Just in general?
Mm-hmm. Or you could be specific if you want, but just 3 things that you think you guys could really see some great improvement in, whether it's, like I said, legislature or anything more personal.
Just more compassion and understanding at the top, just realizing that our kids are not machines. You know, they all come with a background and a story and just different things that affect them and that all contribute to where they are. You know, not every child in my class that's behind is behind because of a learning disability. Like there are other factors that impact that. I would love for there to be more outreach to the parents to help support them and, you know, just kind of show them how they can better support their kids to help us as well. I wouldn't turn down any funding, of course.
Right.
More funding is always good. I'm sure that can help.
You know, I think it's the amazing thing in regards to the parents. I think a lot of times you have these after school programs or these nonprofits that do things for the youth, and that's great. But we don't have outreach where we pull in the parents, at least not on on a larger scale. And I think that is very beneficial, because if we are doing all of this work on the youth, and then they're going home to the same environment or the same lack of this, that, and the third, have we really made a difference? Because they're just going to go back to what they're used to. They're going to go back to the bad habits, or, you know, going back to that environment. When you pull in the parents, and the parents are on board, and the parents are a part of the team, and they feel like they have a voice in their life, you know, in their kids' enrichment, I think is amazing. I think that for example, cases that I've had in social work where the parents are involved, it is drastically more effective when it comes to working with those kids through some of their challenges. I think that it betters at times their relationship with their child. They can bond them on a certain level. And then I just think it's like a full circle experience that kind of helps the work that we do sustainable, because you have added reinforcements when you involve the parents. In your line of work, teachers a lot of times, I personally feel, don't get paid enough. And we know that when it comes to education and social work, like you said, no one comes to those fields to get rich. It is really more kind of like not hard work, but hard work. I look at it in that perspective. Mm-hmm. Would you ever see yourself going to high school? Do you want to remain in the lower grades? What do you see for yourself?
I truly feel like I've hit my sweet spot. I could not work at a high school. I'm sure it has its rewards as well, but certainly quite a number of challenges. This is my level. Right. As far as the instruction, as far as the classroom management, like it just works. And I honestly enjoy being one of those first teachers in their lives, because it's so many like just simple customs and traditions that you don't realize that they've never been exposed to. You know, one year we did a gingerbread house, and that was just like unheard of to them. But, you know, it was a unique experience, something that they picked up at a young age. So I like being a part of that teaching at a younger age.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What would you say is a rose and a thorn for you as an educator? During your years of being in education, what has been one rose and one thorn for you?
Would you like to elaborate on that concept? Just give me a second to come up with a rose.
So what will be, looking at your career, what will be a highlight moment? And what would be something that made you be like, you know what, I'm not gonna keep doing this. It ticked you off, it rubbed you the wrong way. You were just like, do I really want to keep doing this?
I can't think of a specific situation per se to be my rose or my thorn, but just the kids in general. You know, sometimes like class just flows and it's great, and I can see that they're getting it. You know, they kind of feed off of my energy a lot of times. So I'm having a good time, they're having a good time. It's translating, like it just works. You know, we're collaborating. And then there's other days where they come in and I can see it, like they just don't necessarily want to be here. And that's hard sometimes, it is. And to feel like I'm forcing them to learn, I don't like feeling that way, but you know, sometimes it is true. So
how do you have a kid, they just, you can tell they're just not here for it. They could have a bad attitude, or they just could be zoned out, not paying attention. They have all these walls up. how do you kind of encourage a youth like that to trust your education, trust what you're teaching them, trust that Mr. Everett is going to lead them the wrong way and that it's all for their betterment? How do you kind of work with a student to break down those walls?
It's just all about building those relationships, you know, and it starts the first day, honestly, just bringing your authentic self to the classroom. I try to share as much with them that's appropriate. You know, they ask lots of questions.
Sure.
They are very observant, and just giving them honest answers and finding ways to relate to them, you know, letting them know, you know, I was a kid too. I know sometimes to them it feels like I'm 100 years old, but it's like, hey, I was a 9 or 10-year-old as well. You know, I played Pokemon. I had Pokemon cards. I did all of those things. I had Jordans. I had Nikes. You know, just kind of sharing some of your personal interests and everything with them, and just having those honest conversations. You know, I let them know, hey, the stuff that you're learning is important. You know, can you count? Do you really know how to count money? You know how to count dollar bills, but can you count change? You know, what do you expect to do as a grown-up? Your parents aren't going to take care of you for forever. And even that concept is hard for them to understand, you know, a little too abstract at times, but it's the truth. And over time, you know, just with consistency and approaching it with a certain energy and, like I said, compassion, I'm usually able to get through with most of them, I would say. And then also letting them understand that I'm a part of the community as well. You know, I patronize a lot of the businesses around here intentionally. In years past, I used to walk home with some of the kids. I used to make sure that they saw me. You know, you never knew when or where you were going to see me. Right. And I'm a teacher that I'm going to speak to you. I'm going to speak to your parents. So it just kind of builds that trust and that rapport.
And I think it's amazing because you've mentioned multiple times about, you know, trust and building that relationship, but it's not just words. You can tell by your actions, you can tell by the things that you've done that is something that you're very dedicated to, because for you to come from the community and you're giving back to your community that you came from in regards to education and teaching the future, and to do things where you're walking home with the student, to do things where you understand their language. I think it's important because I think we come from a generation where they can relate to us. They don't look at us as if we're in that generation of their parents or their grandparents. And so we probably like a lot of the same music they like, able to understand their language, their behavior. I think, of course, cultural diversity is something that I feel is a hindrance in certain fields, education, social work, medicine, because a lot of times at these schools are people who don't look like me and you. And so they do not understand a lot of the cultural things that is second nature for us. And so I think that's amazing to see a Black male in their community that can relate on the same level, that can, like I said, understand their language and have even some of the similar habits. And then, like I said, you know, they say Black don't crack. So you still can look like, you know, an older brother or whatever. So I think that's amazing. I definitely think that's amazing. I've always felt like you were, just from conversations we had, a very resourceful teacher, creative. And I think it's amazing what you've done for those students. You know, even, you know, you said earlier, you know, you don't look at it as anything that's really that novel, that great. And I think that humility is important because all you really want to do is make a difference. You're not looking at it from that perspective. And I think that's an amazing way to be. Humility is very important. So that's awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time out today to have this conversation and to join me in bringing awareness to individuals who enrich the youth. I feel that it's an amazing thing. I feel like it's necessary. I feel like it's important to highlight because support is needed, awareness is needed, funding across the board. We've had a social worker, we have you as an educator and some other industries, and making a difference in the lives of our youth. I think that it can bring us some kind of peace that the future is not too far out of hands. You know, we look at what's going on in the country today, and we have to have some kind of hope that there are better days coming. And so I truly believe that it's going to start within our community, with the educators, with the parents, with the community servants. And so I definitely think it's amazing that you are part of that. And like I said, I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and just your experience as an educator.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So you take care, Mr. Everett. And once again, I really appreciate it.
All right.
Well, that's it for the zone today. We are officially shutting it down. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, remember this: speak what you seek until you see what you say.